Hello, and welcome to the Some Kind of Mystic podcast, the show that bridges all things mystical with the chaotic and unpredictable experience of being authentically human. I'm your host, Jessie Herman, life coach, energy healer, artist, mother, and channel for the non-physical entity group Vagrein. In other words, I'm some kind of mystic, and so are you. Today's guest is Anna von Echten. Anna is a personal trainer, health, and life coach from Christchurch, New Zealand. In the past, she suffered from severe digestive issues, which showed up as acne, eczema, irritable bowel syndrome, hay fever, sugar cravings, as well as period pains. Frustrated with health systems that were not addressing the cause of her symptoms or promoting her body to heal, Anna began her own healing journey in 2017 to attempt to heal herself. She has been medication-free now since 2019 and teaches others holistic healing techniques working on healing the gut and therefore the whole body. She does this using the power of food as well as the mind. In 2022, she created the Renewing the Mind and Body program to help people heal their gut by getting down to the real root cause of their symptoms. Don't forget to stay tuned to the end of this episode because, as usual, I invite Anna to share a fun fact or weird quirk with us. Although, for this one, those of you watching on YouTube are definitely at an advantage for this experience. We are truly privileged to have Anna here with us today to share her wisdom and insights on gut health and the mind-body-soul connection. So, without further ado, let's welcome Anna von Echten to Some Kind of Mystic. Hello, Anna von Echten. Welcome. Thank you for joining us on the Some Kind of Mystic podcast. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing really well, thank you.
I'm really excited to talk with you because I know that you've been on a healing journey, originally sort of trying to find answers through the normal medical systems and then self-advocating to find your own answers. So can you tell us a little bit about your story to start out?
Yeah, sure. So I had some severe digestive issues all through my teenage years and through my early to mid 20s. I struggled with irritable bowel syndrome. I had a lot of digestive issues and digesting food. I had pain. I had I had eczema ever since I was born. I had a lot of acne. My period pains were just so severe that every month I would take really harsh drugs so that I could get by. And I also craved sugar every single day as well. I was
Mm,
always constantly eating candy all the time because I couldn't go a day without my sugar fix. So, amongst all of there were unstable moods and unstable hormones, and everything was just about, it was like just getting by. Like if I just get by to, my next hit of sugar, or if I just get by to the next doctor's visit, or to the next time I can have my medication looked at, then I'll be okay. And life was, my whole way of seeing how healthy I was based on only by exercise, because I'm a personal trainer. I was a competitive gymnast as well, so
mhm.
exercise and movement was my one and only way of determining health for me. So I always said, "Look, I'm healthy. I'm really healthy because I exercise hours and hours at a time, and I'm fine. Like I'm not overweight or anything. Like I'm completely healthy." Whereas I didn't actually really realize or put two and two together that my diet was terrible. I just thought that you could out exercise a diet, you could out train any food, because it's more so, as long as you're burning the food off and burning the calories off, then it's fine and you're healthy. But as I was taking all of these different prescription medications and creams for my eczema and everything, I just didn't have any awareness around my body or my mind or anything that was actually really going on. And so it was 2017, so about almost 6 years ago, where I really was like, something's not right. Like I keep going back to the doctor, and I had huge belief that I was going to be healed. I actually believed like they're going to heal me. Like, "Well, this next medication is actually going to heal me," because I wanted it to go away and not just be treated temporarily all of my symptoms that I was having. And so when I slowly started moving away from the healthcare system and actually looking at my diet and lifestyle and looking at like Actually, it's not normal to need to nap all the time. I used to say to myself, "Well, I just love sleep. It's a hobby of mine." That was a bit of a reason to why I would nap during the daytime and always be as soon as I'd get home from work. It was a nap. I'd need to have a 2 hour nap so that I could get through. And I just really normalized it, and I normalized needing to be on all of this medication and being in pain and everything because surely everyone has some kind of health condition, and
Mhm.
I just made it just part of who I was. And yeah, it took a while, a few years for me to actually really realize and click like, it's actually up to me to heal myself. I need to go on my own journey, and I need to stop doing the same thing and expecting a different result, because I kept going back again, asking if I could get a different set of medications and more pills and more creams, and I just wanted to be healed.
It sounds also like you were in a lot of discomfort and pain in that period, but you were maybe not listening to your body as well?
Yes, I didn't know what that even meant. I thought that just sounded like crazy cuckoo stuff. Like I had no idea about listening to your body.
But
Yeah.
you know that sounds like also a very hard time in your life because you were in pain or discomfort all the time.
And it was just all of my whole being. I couldn't see any way through it because I was only told and taught one way of you just deal with your pain and you manage it, and that's what your life looks like. You can't heal, your body can't heal.
So was there a moment where there was like a straw that broke the camel's back, like where you just went, no, that's it. I have to like do something.
Yeah, it was actually when I started surrounding myself with other people who believed that their bodies could heal, and they were actually living a life of freedom and of true health, because to me health was just getting by. And so being around other people, around a community of others who were like, actually, here's some habits here that you could work on, or this is what we're doing with our lifestyle, or we're actually looking at what we're eating. And I we as humans, we adapt to our environments, like who we hang out with and who we surround ourselves with. We pick up on their habits and behaviors as well. And I didn't even mean to, but I was, subconsciously, my mind was soaking in all of these conversations that were going on that people were having around me, where they were talking about like making healthy home cooked meals, and making like sugar free baking at home, preparing their meals, uh, having more healthier whole foods and not having as much junk food and takeaways, and normalizing having water as their main drink rather than fizzy drink and
Right.
juices. And talking about that, I started over time realizing that my body actually started healing because I was taking that on as my own habits and behaviors, as well. So it was really interesting.
So that's
Yeah.
what really got the ball rolling was like you'd hear something like, "Hey, maybe drink water instead." And then you'd experiment on your own body, and that was sort of like got it going towards feeling a little bit better a bit at a time.
Yeah. Definitely,
Okay.
that was it. It was that, like, environmental change. It was like putting an animal in a different habitat, and they just start changing, and that's what happened to me, and I had no awareness of it until, like, a year or 2 later. I'm like, "Wow, I don't actually need my medication as much, and I'm not using my creams, and I'm not itching as much." And my eczema was so bad that I would wake up bleeding. I would scratch in my sleep, and I'd even put gloves on in the nighttime, and I'd wake up. I don't even like I wasn't aware of this. I'd wake up with the gloves off my hands, and I still would scratch. And
Wow.
so I noticed over time that I didn't keep itching, and I thought this was real weird. I couldn't figure out like what's going on, and then it just makes sense looking back now. Okay, I can see now I was around people who talked about, if you work on your gut health, then your eczema can actually heal when you don't need to keep treating it on the outside, because our body can heal. Like when we cut our skin on the outside, it heals. We know that. And I couldn't really put two and two together that, well, if our body can heal, cutting it on the outside, well, then why can't it do the same thing on the inside? So
Sure. So
yeah,
there was some form of irritation or causality that was continuing to scrape against that, that wounding that you had, whatever was going on inside.
yeah,
Right, right, right. And you were a personal trainer also all through this period, or, so you were still very what we normally consider health conscious, correct?
yes, yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
but your focus
definitely.
was like on muscle and on cardio and stuff like that, is
Yeah,
from what I was. So
yeah.
does this feel like does the health or the nutrition aspect feel like the missing link for what you were already like your life was already going towards that?
Yes, definitely,
Yeah.
because it was all exercise and it was all stretching and handstands and gymnastics and fitness and everything. And it was going to like maybe McDonald's afterwards or getting takeaways afterwards. And I knew that, well, if I'm still a healthy weight, then I'm healthy, right? Like, obviously, I have to, I'm still healthy if I'm not gaining any weight from any of this. And, I was young, so I could exercise a lot and still eat whatever. Um, but yeah, it was being a trainer and not having awareness around food and nutrition meant that my clients, I couldn't really help them. They would ask me like, what is it that I eat? And I would just say, well, just eat healthy. Don't, eat good food. And they're kind of like, okay. It's like, that's proper advice about this is, because personal trainers, we have like basic knowledge about nutrition. We know like for your muscles to be able to recover and to grow and to build and for your body to release weight, to release fat, it it needs healthy good food. It
Mhm.
needs more real whole foods, not as much of the takeaways and the processed food.
Sure.
But I really couldn't understand that because I wasn't living it myself, so I
Mhm.
couldn't teach other people something that I wasn't living and I had no awareness around for my own life.
So, as you know, this podcast is called Some Kind of Mystic, and what I'm trying to do here with talking with guests is like bridge the spiritual or soul aspect of ourselves with the physical. So, like people like you come on and we talk about the physical thing, but what I'm really interested in is your journey towards discovering like the mind soul body connection.
Yeah, yeah. This was something that was like the last part of my journey because it was the physical was like sweet, easy, like we can physically see the body and everything. Yep, cool, great. And then it was nutrition. And then a few years later, it was mindset and emotional awareness. And that part there, when I started learning about the gut brain connection and the mind and emotions, that really brought up a lot of past wounding for myself and a lot of triggers came up. The whole reason why I ended up having all of these gut issues and getting irritable bowel syndrome is because I grew up with quite a controlling father, and so I was told you don't cry, like you don't do that, you just there's no need to cry, and so I held in a lot of my emotions. I never actually really knew how to express them in a healthy way, and it was my leading emotion was always just anger.
Mm.
And if someone would do or say something that I didn't agree with or I didn't like, it was just attack, like be nasty to them, be angry because I didn't really know how to control my emotions or to really be aware of them. And because of that, I sabotage a lot of friendships and a lot of relationships in my life because it was straight away if someone said something to me, even with kind intent, I would just all of a sudden get triggered and my body would go into fight or flight. And it was like danger, danger. There's danger present. And I would just be like, just get really angry at them. And then people were like, whoa, like what's going on? And then I was wondering why people didn't really want to be around me and holding onto all of those stored emotions were like I noticed that not at the time, but now I look back. Like when I had my biggest irritable bowel syndrome flare ups, it was when I was stressed or I was in conflict. That
Okay.
was the biggest. time
Yeah.
was when I was in conflict with with boyfriend at the time or with my dad. It would feel like knives were cutting in my stomach, and it felt like my intestines were just ripping apart. They were so painful because I was so stressed because I didn't know. I put my happiness into the hands of other people. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, well, it's up to you to make me happy. You're the one that has to change the way that you are in order to please me. So if other people were good, then I was good. But if they had something else going on and they weren't okay, then I wasn't. And so my emotional state was based on the actions of other people. And that was not good for my digestive system at all. Like our body digests based on our thoughts that we tell it and our feelings, and our body's all one powerhouse. It's all one system. And so it was really pretty much since 2020, so a few years ago, that's when I actually started learning about emotional awareness and my mindset. And I started allowing myself to feel my emotions and not see it in a way that it's bad. And it was so many beliefs that I had to work through. Like I keep telling myself, like, don't cry, it's bad to cry, you don't do that, you got to keep going, keep pushing through, keep pushing through. And since I've been working through that, now I allow myself, if I need to cry or if I need to be sad, or I allow myself to feel what needs to be felt and release the emotion. And there's not all this tension in my body anymore. It's like it feels free. So that was the very last part of my journey, was the gut brain connection. That was the hardest part out of anything.
Yeah, harder than the pain, harder than the discomfort. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's the part that, is often sort of like one of the last things we deal with, because it is what we spend our entire human existence avoiding, like ooh, don't feel the emotions. And isn't it
Yeah.
intelligent how the body in your case mirrored exactly your own reaction to external stimulus? So like, it's no coincidence that it's called irritable bowel syndrome, because you seem to also manifest in your personality a lot of irritation with others, right? So the emotions that you weren't allowing yourself to feel, even like if they flared up, like the anger, it's the same thing with like eczema as well, that it's called an eczema flare, because it is really anger manifests in the body. And I think if people look at their symptoms from that holistic perspective and kind of go like, what language are we using for these symptoms? Like, and what is it pointing to in my emotional body that is mirroring that same thing that maybe I'm not addressing? So like, instead of allowing yourself to get fully angry with the situation, or even better, change the situation based upon the sensation of like, this doesn't work for me, which is what anger is. You go,
Mm,
no, I'm going to repress it, I'm going to keep going, and then it actually manifests on like a cutaneous basis or in the gut or stuff like that. And like sadness manifests in its way in the body, and like, you know self hatred manifests in other ways. Yeah, so it's really so intelligent how the body's like always working with us. It's really great.
yeah.
Yeah, without that discomfort you wouldn't have made these changes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Totally. It's happened for a reason. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I know now that you're like wanting to move into sharing this with other people and up leveling your service to others. So can you tell me a little bit about like what it is that your like biggest desire would be to put out into the world and to let people know about? What's like the message?
The message is that despite what you've been told to believe, despite what your childhood beliefs are, and what, as someone who you really look up to and an expert and someone in authority has told you, our bodies can heal, and our symptoms don't have to be permanent. They don't have to be something that you put up with for life. You don't need to keep putting up with something that is causing you so much pain and discomfort. And my message and my mission is to show people that they can heal and it can get better, and that our bodies are always constantly giving us signs and signals. And your symptoms don't mean that you're broken and you're bad and you're worthless and that you're no good and that there's no point. Like they don't need to mean that. All they can mean is that like your petrol light comes on and there's a light that says, we've got to fill the tank up. Okay, let's fill the tank up. Because I find that a lot of people that I talk to, they see it in a way that there's something wrong with them. So there's no point in trying because I'm too far gone. I'm too far gone. There's no point in really working through it. I've got too much pain, too many symptoms and everything, and it's almost like they feel like they're hopeless. But it's more so if you can start with just that tiny little glimmer of hope and slowly do one step at a time. Don't focus on the whole staircase and overwhelm yourself by trying to do a Harry Hard out and do 20 things all at once. And I'm going to go change my gym and my diet and my exercise, and I'm going to change all of these things all tomorrow. And then you feel great. And then a month later, you fall off, and then you
Sure.
feel like you're starting again. So it's more so, how can we do this in a way that's sustainable long term? Because for me, like everyone's journey is different, but mine took 5 years. My journey took me 5 years to heal everything that I had, and in order to be where I am today. And it took me about 3.5 years to fully come off my medication.
Mm.
So it's you've got to look at the long-term lifestyle. You've got to look at it in a way that I'm doing this for life. This is not just a short-term quick fix, another quick hit, another quick hit of dopamine, another instant gratification, another like, let's get our quick fix and then, we'll find another quick fix. It's more so, how can we look at it in a way where we're actually going to really transform the body for life, so that it's a habit,
Yes.
so that when we have habits, like when we brush our teeth and have a shower, we don't need to think about it or get motivated or get ready or, plan or anything to brush our teeth and have a shower. We just do it. We get up and we change our clothes. It's a natural part of being a human, is that we do those things. And so I want to I want to teach people that you can have a healthy lifestyle as a habit and normalize it. It's just going to take time, and it's going to take that patience and that consistency, being kind to yourself, not having any expectations. Like I like that. I never put a time on my healing journey. I never said that I have to heal this in 6 months. I have to heal it in
Of
a year.
course.
Otherwise, I'm not gonna, it's too bad. Like I never put any time restrictions on it. I was like, I'm just gonna allow whatever happens to happen, and I'm going to accept exactly where I am in every moment, that
Yeah.
I am right where I need to be in life right now. I don't need to be anywhere else, because if I was anywhere else in life, I would be right now, and it's all happening for a reason. So I want to help share that mission to other people, that their bodies can heal, and it's your current situation is not your final destination. Your current situation isn't permanent. Things can change, and it just starts with, in order to break a pattern or a habit, you've got to respond differently. So you've got to do one thing differently, even if it's tiny, like the smallest little tiny thing ever. It all adds up over time, because us as humans, we love to go like, we've got to go all in, we've got to go hard out. And that's what leads to that burnout and exhaustion, rather than doing the small little tiny consistent steps over a period of time. It adds up to quite a lot. So just really helping and inspiring people that anything is possible, and not putting limits on your own healing journey and your body's ability to be able to heal.
Yeah, that's amazing. And your message really hits close to home for me, because I had an autoimmune disease for something close to, I would say that like 17 to 20 years or something like that. And it's a complicated one. It's quite rare. It's a relative of lupus, so it affects the entire system randomly in different ways. And there were periods where, I had doctors telling me like, okay, well, you'll be lucky if you're not in a wheelchair when you're 40, and you'll be lucky if like your organs don't fail and stuff like that. Here's your cortisone, and here's your steroids, and here's your, antibiotic treatments, and here's your this, that, and the other thing. And what really helped on my journey was that healing the inner stuff that was the causation of these symptoms. And also that acceptance that you just talked about, that you are where you are right now, because there's so much when you're not feeling well, like there can be so much anxiety to like try to get to better, to try to get to healed and like, oh my God, if I don't, if my arthritis doesn't go down, that means I'll be in a wheelchair, like we project
Yeah.
into the future, right? But meanwhile, in this like right now, well, what do you have to do? Okay, I have to like calm out any, inflammatory diet that I have going on right now, or deal with like maybe rehydrating and allowing my body this time to just like calm down the arthritis right now. But we get up in our heads, right? And you do have the whole medical system, which I love as well, because absolutely we're so blessed to be in a time where, like, we have the support of a medical system. But there are other things that we neglect because we're so dependent on it. Like even breathing, people don't breathe
Yeah.
with their whole
Yeah.
body. And or movement. People don't move with their whole body. We're very sort of like we keep ourselves in a regular pattern of movement instead of going like, you know what, I'll stand up and stretch. And even that, like you're saying, that one little change changes your whole physiology. The same way, like when you rotate a plant slightly, it grows, towards the source of the
Yeah.
light, right? So if you rotate your plant all the time, it's going to grow in all the things. But we as humans, we don't realize and remember that we're organic, and so I think that like what you're sharing is so amazing because it does help people to start to change their belief systems, which is really where that change in attitude and self starts to take hold. um and also, I love that you're like talking about consistency, right? But it's not a forced consistency. It's just that remembrance in the moment that you've made a choice to make better choices. And I think that's what you're trying to share in terms of, like drinking water or changing diet. It sounds to me though that like you had a dependency on sugar.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you want to talk about like have you stopped eating sugar or like what's your relationship now?
Yeah, I have a very, very healthy relationship with sugar now. I treat food as in like I want a healthy relationship with it, like I want a healthy marriage and a healthy relationship with my daughter and the way I spend money and everything as well. So when it comes to sugar now, I can actually really think in the moment if I really actually want it because I love having like I'll have dessert once a week and I'll happily do it and I'll do it because I'll choose to do it,
Hmm.
not because I have to have it and because it's a way for me to cope. So I now look at it in a completely different way. Like it's like I can't even explain how my brain functions now when it comes to sugar because it for so long ever since I was a child it was all just got to go get the sugar. Otherwise, you can't, you won't be okay. You'll get
Hmm.
frustrated and, really angry and everything. And so now I think like I allow myself to have sugar. I'm like, do I actually really want to have that now? Or is it something and I can actually mindfully think of if I want it. So I don't completely not ever have it. I only just have it, like a dessert once a week kind of thing. It's not every single day. And I'm able to have like a piece of dark chocolate now, instead of it was like a block of white chocolate kind of thing that I used to have, and a bag of lollies as well. And I could just easily have a whole bag of candy. And even now, like I notice if I have more than probably like 5 or 6 pieces of lollies of candy, I'm like, okay, that's enough. Like my body says this is too much. Like it's getting a bit sickly now. And I'm
Sure.
able to actually stop and be like, okay, that's enough. My body's saying that's enough. And I feel like it's always said that, but I never actually paid attention to it. I was just like, gotta keep having more, gotta keep having more. And it's like this emotional state that I get in. And because it's an addiction. Like it's sugar is as addictive as cocaine. It's so true that it is, and the studies and everything, the way that the brain reacts with sugar compared to cocaine is the same, and it's
Hmm.
so true. And so it's why it took me years to be able to come off it. But now my relationship with sugar has completely changed, and also working through some of the wounding that I had with my dad as well, the need to control, like having sugar made me feel like I was in control. That was the
Mm,
thing that I needed when I was like, I'm out of my body, like I'm so unaware right now what's going on. And when it comes to having addictions like that, it could have been for me, it could have been alcohol, smoking, gambling, drugs, it could have been anything, but for me it happened to be sugar. And it's such a sort of normalized addiction,
mm,
because it's like, wow, it's food and it's fun, and you don't want to cut that out because it's, you're missing out if you're having it. And it's something that we really normalize. And so I had to do, it's interesting because I never would have put the two together. Like, how on earth does this even make sense? But I had to forgive my father and do some forgiveness work with him in order to let go of the way that, because he raised me the best that he could. He did the best that he could with what he knew by the way that he was raised, and it comes down from the
sure.
generations. And I realized, like, there's no way he could have done anything better because he already gave me everything he could have. And I had to accept that and love him just the way that he is. I didn't have to agree with everything he does or says, but I love him as a person, and I appreciate the things that he did do. And I really had to mend that relationship with him. And when that happened, it's like the need to control everything in life and control people and control everything, it just it just relaxed. Now I'm like, I don't need to control everything. I'm okay no
Yeah.
matter what happens. And my external world does no longer affect me internally. So I no longer need to reach for the quick fixes. The awareness is so, like, on point now that I can actually really mindfully think around food of, am I actually, really wanting this right now? Can I allow myself to have a treat? Do I need to restrict myself? Like, I think about it first before I just go like, I need the bag of Tim Tams. I need the chocolate biscuits. I need. It's more so actually like, I get to enjoy a biscuit. I get to, have some lollies if I want to. I get to have that birthday cake at that person's birthday. Like, I get to, because I want to, and I'm allowed to enjoy it. It's not a I have to, or I won't be okay. So it's completely changed, and then it's changed my marriage as well. I no longer control my husband now, and he's like, woo, so yeah, he's a happy man.
That's great. Yeah, who wouldn't
Yeah,
be? I mean, nobody wants someone telling them how to live their life, you know?
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. Oh, so and like you're happy too. So that's what's most important. You're the one in control of what can you control? What can anyone control? We can only control how we respond to existence, really. And when that is understood deeply, you do start to really feel in control of your life. Even if
Yeah,
nothing outside of you is like going the way you want it to, you're like, yeah, but I'm good. Like I know I can remain in the right vibration for me even
yeah,
if like everything's going chaotic around me. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And so when I first came across you, you'd done a post upon burning your boats, right? Like diving into life and like going all at it and like letting go of any out. So are you talking about like choices in life and like not giving you like just making a decision? Because like the word decision means to like cut off, right? So it's like from incision, it's like to give you no other option. So what is it that you're like diving into now and passionate about now that you'd be like, okay, I'm gonna close the doors on any other option and I'm going for it?
Yeah, so growing up with a very an army soldier like dad, yes, it had the control, but I also have I have this beautiful side of me that is very, very go getter, very I get things done and I go for the things that I want in life, and I don't make excuses for it. If I want to do it, I do it, and you just get it done. Like, you don't think about it, you just get it done. So there are some beautiful aspects that I have learned from my father, And I embrace those parts, and I'm like, I'm not letting go of those parts. I love those parts of me. And that part of me is that I don't like working for somebody else, and I don't like having a boss and somebody telling me what to do, and giving me my paycheck, because then it's a limit to me. It's limited, and also telling me when to show up and when to have a break. And I love travel. I've traveled the world and been to 32 countries. I love doing that when I like, and I don't like waking up to an alarm, because I love letting my body just sleep, which it does most of the time. Having a baby, it was a bit like, sometimes you don't have a choice, but now she sleeps through the night. I allow my body to wake up when it wants to. And because of that, I really value freedom, because
Mm-hmm.
I felt controlled and restricted a bit in my childhood and teenage years, and had a bit of rebellion because I wanted to do my own thing. It now means, as an entrepreneur and as an adult now, I made that decision that swimming across the island and metaphorically burning the boats means that the boat was like my lifeline. Like, maybe if working for myself, like doing what I'm doing, this mission that I'm sharing with my gut health that I'm doing, maybe if it didn't work out, like maybe I'd have a boat to get back across, and maybe
Sure.
I'll find which people say to me, like, get a safe job, go
Yeah.
get something that's safe and secure and it's low risk, because it's really risky in the world right now. Inflation, recession, all of these things happening. You got COVID. Like, how do you know? Like, you're not going to be safe. So take a safe job. And I had to really work through those beliefs of, well, what does risk and safety and security mean to me?
Right.
Like, what does it mean to me? What if I completely just changed what that means? What other people can make it mean what they want, but I can create my own meaning from it. And I decided to make it mean that safety and security to me, for my daughter as well, meant that I'm going to keep doing what I love,
Yeah.
and I'm going to go through the pits of hell of not knowing when I was going to, when you have a business, it's, you work a lot and there's not much return. You're like,
Oh,
what am I
yeah.
doing? Like, how am I gonna get through this? I got a baby to feed now, and then eventually it like kind of is evens out, and then now at the point I'm like, okay, wow, this is actually paying off, and I can wake up when I want and do what I want, and I love
Nice.
Mondays. I'm like, woo, Mondays, they're
Yeah.
amazing. I'm no longer living for the weekend and waiting till Friday, TGIF. And it's designing the life that I love, and that's what I really value, and that's what freedom means to me. And being able to do the things that I want to do when I want to do them, not having them in the hands of somebody else. So that's what that means to me, and what I tie that in a bit with my gut health stuff as well, because I love it, because the whole holistic approach of how we are with our health and with our eating, it's going to flow out into every area
Yeah.
in life, in your career, the way you spend your money, your marriage, and everything. If you're finding it hard to invest into yourself and your health and prioritize your own mental well-being and emotional well-being, you probably are finding it hard in other areas in life, like with your marriage and stuff like that too. So I, yeah, really want to help show people that when you take that risk that we haven't sort of normalized in society, that's, it's unsafe. It's, what if it, what if, and I was like, wow, what if instead of I fail, what if I fly? What if it
Yes.
works? What if it
Wonderful.
turns out exactly the way I want it to?
Yeah.
And I started what ifing that instead. What if it works? What
Yeah.
if it pays off? And then I keep thinking of that, and now I'm enjoying the flying off the cliff now, instead of the constantly falling
Sure.
down all the time, and all the failures and everything that I had to go through. And yeah, it's just, holy moly, it's a beautiful, crazy roller coaster ride. Obviously, being an entrepreneur, there's
It
nothing
is. Yeah.
convenient about it. It's not convenient, but it's
No,
worth it.
it is worth it. And you know what, that's great. Like when I so for reframing like risk versus safety, right? When you start what ifing, like the what if it works, you then get yourself at some point into the position where you're like, what if it works and I don't take this risk? Like, how risky is it for me to lose that dream that I'm like building? Like, okay, I can take this easy route or what seems to be easy, right? But the risk there then is losing all of this that I've created in my, what's called like necessarily the vortex, or what I've created in my dream for my future, and my dream for my future for my children, my dream for my future for this planet and this world and the people on it. If I take the easy job and I go work at the supermarket, right? Like, yes, I'll have a constant paycheck and we can eat and I can watch Netflix and I can like do those things that will afford me. But the risk is I lose that potential future that I'm creating in my, in my beingness that I know is being called through me. So, people say like the risky job. I think it's actually for a lot of people who do have like this sort of like passion inside of them, it's actually far riskier to do the comfortable thing
Yeah.
because what you would lose is so much greater, right? So yeah, there might be years of struggle or what seems to be struggle, but those years of struggle are also your years of expansion where you're growing through the struggle and you're saying, "Oh God, there's no paycheck this month. Now what can I invent that will, bring something new in, and what can I create that like will be even more in service to the people who need to hear my message," right? And that's like this the period of like developing like what is my service. And then afterwards, hopefully there's the flourishing of like, oh, people are catching on. They really do want what I'm offering. So, speaking of what you're offering, where can people find you? Where can they work with you? Tell us about like where you're reachable.
Yeah, so Instagram is like my main platform. So it's Anna underscore gut health coach. Um, One really interesting thing was that I a couple of years ago was working on. It took about a year to create a website. I had to make it perfect. Had to make it perfect for when I was doing my personal training business, and I focused all on that, having the perfect website. And now I don't have a website and it just feels so good. It's my Instagram platform and I have the most beautiful connections with people. And I also want to, yeah, just put it out there. Like, if you don't currently have a website or a logo, if like you don't need things to all be in perfect alignment for you to start, like it doesn't, you can still start, you can still create these most beautiful connections with people. You can still you don't have to have everything all out there. Like my course was created on my iPhone. It's standing there in my kitchen recording the videos, and I love the content because the message is still the same. The
Yeah.
message is still the same no matter if it's in a perfectly aligned studio or if it's recorded in my kitchen. And I was like, I need to share this message with everybody. So I just was like, well, I'm going to take this imperfect action. I'm okay that everything's not all perfect website, everything nicely all designed by an amazing graphic designer. I was like, I've got to start because I've got to get this message out. So yeah, Instagram's my main platform, and there's also Facebook as well. If you search me up on Facebook, Anna V. Echten, I'm on there too. And yeah, I have the most amazing program called the Renewing the Mind and Body. So we're renewing your mind and your body as well, to help heal your digestive system, using the power of food and also your mind as well to really work on that gut brain connection of why. Because I have a lot of women that are like, I'm eating so healthy, I've cut out gluten, dairy, I've cut out all the things, and I'm still getting constipation, I'm getting bloated, I'm still getting all these pains, like what's going on? And then
Mhm.
the way that they're talking about it, I can tell they're so stressed about it. They're eating and they have to have everything all perfect. And if they get it wrong, then and basically their body's at dis-ease, right? Like it's inflamed because
Sure.
it's so stressed and it's in fight or flight all the time. And so I have these beautiful conversations with these women and talk about like your how do you feel like, do you have a busy mind? How easy do you feel like it is to switch off or, bring your mind to more of a state of calm? And they're like, well, it doesn't. Like, it's like, okay, that there, let's work on that
Sure.
and eat in a way that actually feels good to you rather than putting more stress onto you when you already feel like you're at full capacity.
Sure.
So yeah, I just have the most incredible community, and I love that we have this holistic approach that sometimes when my women are focusing on like what's the best brand of apple to eat, or what do I need to eat with
Yeah,
this,
sure.
and really agitated, and I'm like, what's going on? Tell me what's
Mm.
going on. And they're like, at my workplace, my bosses, and then they're like, okay, there we go. That's what's going on. Forget about the apples. Forget about like what's going on here with the medium-sized apple, large apple, small apple. Like you are so stressed out here
Mm-hmm.
at work, and you're not doing okay, and your body is flaring up no matter what you eat. You eat a lettuce leaf, healthy, your body flares up. You eat healthy food and it flares up. So we've got to get to what's actually going on, like what's the biggest stress for you in life at the moment, and work through that. And some of them are like, I don't see a connection, like it makes no sense, I'm here for gut health. And then we talk about what's going on, and then they just release all of the stress and tension they're really holding on to, and then
Right.
they do that, and then the way that they view food is like, well, I see food a bit differently too now.
Yeah,
And
it
they're
all
like,
changes. It's
oh,
connected.
I
Yeah.
get it. Oh, okay. And now they're like seeing other things differently. They're like, whoa, it's insane. So I don't take a conventional approach of like we've got to, count your calories and make sure everything's all in alignment logically.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit of intuition and kind of seeing like what's actually going on, and actually making her feel heard, and asking her, what do you think is going on? Because we don't really ask women that, because we've got quick doctor's appointments, 10 minutes, they have to be out, we've got to get the
Yeah.
next person in, there's
There's
not
no
enough time.
time.
And exactly. And so I'm like, we've got to actually make our women feel heard and ask. And quite a lot of the time, when they actually really sit with it, they do know what's going on and what their
Sure.
body. They know their body best. I always say, you know your body best, more than anyone. So what do you feel is going on? And sometimes they're like, like they they want to say it, but they don't feel like they can express it, because at some point in their life they've tried to express their or share their voice, or express their authentic self, and they've been shut down for it, or an ex-partner has made them wrong for it, or
Sure.
a parent has said you can't do that, you've got to sit down and be quiet and shut up, you can't say anything. So when they try and now talk about what's going on for them, they're like, oh, it's foreign, like I better not say too much. I'll say a little bit but not too much, because of
Right.
what they've been programmed to believe, growing up from being around other people who have said you can't talk, your voice is, you don't matter and everything. And now they're in a space where they can freely talk. It's like, like, well, can I, like, is it okay? I'll say a little
Yeah.
bit, but just not too much. And it's like, no, like, be loud here. And then you can just see and feel all of the tension just release. And it's like just the most beautiful thing ever, that they get to witness and feel the transformation that they go through. So
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
that can't
just
help but like help someone feel better. That's amazing. And I think a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
my listeners are going to be really into that. And, you'll be the go-to for this type of healing transformation, because that's you're so passionate about it, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
For my last question, I want to know, like, do you have like something that the word mysticism means to you?
What's the word?
Mysticism or mystic. What is a mystic for you?
Mystic. Okay, I like this, because this is something that I haven't had time to prepare or anything like that. So I'm
Hmm.
just going to say what's automatically coming to me.
Yes.
That word to me means that you have a new uniqueness about you. You're different. There's something that's not normal like everyone else. It's, you have something about you that is beautiful, and is like a gift, and it's you don't like to just go with the flow of the fish swimming the same way, the way society's going, or the world's going, or what you should do or anything. You're like, actually, I am okay with maybe going the other way or swimming against the current, because I've got this mission to share. I've got this purpose to fulfill in life, and I know that I do need to kind of go the other way in order to do this. And I'm going to get wronged a lot, and I'm going to get, made fun of, and people won't understand me. They're not going to get it. They're not going to accept me, and they're going to think I'm weird. But I know that this vision is so clear, and I know that this is what I have to do in order to get there. So that's literally just the first thing that came to mind when I heard that word.
Well, wonderful. And I want to thank you so much for being our guest mystic for today, because you basically just described yourself. And for coming on and sharing all of this knowledge and passion and really care for the betterment of people's lives through their health that you're giving out into the world. It's such a joy to be able to speak with people like you, and I'm so thrilled that you decided to come on and you've shared this with everyone.
Cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, so that's Anna van Echten for Some Kind of Mystic. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Some Kind of Mystic podcast. If you're hearing this message, you've listened all the way to the end of this episode, and for that, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's people just like you that keep me motivated to bring you more and more enlightened content to the world. Today's episode was brought to you by the Self-Love Odyssey Toolkit, a comprehensive course consisting of 15 modules that have been created in collaboration with some remarkable guests. This course aims to equip you with the essential tools necessary to develop a profound understanding of self-love, integrate it into your being, and transform your life permanently. With this toolkit, you'll learn how to cultivate self-love and empower yourself to create positive change in your life. The complete course is now on sale for a whopping $200 off the original price. So if you want an amazing deal on some of my best teachings, head over to www.jpherman.com/self-love and sign up right now for your discount coupon.
Parties and party tricks and stuff, like my elbows go the wrong way, like as in, like that's
Wow.
If I bend my arm, it's like that, but if I straighten it, my elbow, so that's my gymnast elbow, it goes the other way, so I have to bend it in order for it to be straight. So that's like a weird thing about me.
Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing that.